Hey guys, it is Nick here, and we are on with part 15 of What If Madison's Family Joined Rick. Now, before we get into the Terminus whole deal there, since I explained the groups that would be, for one, going and two, staying behind to scope the situation in case the first group needs help, before we get into what goes on, I'm going to explain relationships, since it's been a minute since I touched on that in this series. So, obviously, some of these are going to be pretty self-explanatory. Rick's with Lori, Beth is still with Jimmy, so yeah. Glenn and Maggie, once again, don't really have much to talk about because both of them are still around. One of the two being around, it's just how it is. Daryl's still with Alicia, and their relationship's still growing nicely. Bob is with Sasha. Abraham's with Rosita because we just got introduced to him like last episode or the episode before, so nothing to talk about there. Tyrese is with Karen because Karen's still alive. Shane is with Michonne, which I've done a few other times. Ophelia is with Nick. Carl is with Sophia, like many people wanted in my What If Sophia Joined Negan series. And last but not least, Carol is still with Daniel. And with all that out of the way, if you guys need to catch up on which group is going where and all that other stuff, check out the last part. But with all that said and done, we will get into the actual episode itself and discuss what will happen at Terminus. Now, Rick's portion of the group goes down to Terminus, and whenever they go in and, see them before they see the Rick's group, like what Rick said that he wanted to do when they first met in the original series. When they meet, it pretty much goes the way you would expect, except with a lot more people, which just makes Gareth's group, uneasy, but they still play it cool. But soon enough, to many people in Rick's group, the obviousness of them being, not friendly is just way too obvious, per se, with Rick's group, with like Shane and Strand and stuff like that there. So, soon enough, even though no one got kidnapped from their group, a gun battle rings out, an actual one, like a big one, and Gareth and his company have no choice but to defend themselves, because this was just, I feel that this would happen earlier on, not like right inside the whole building there, but I feel like maybe when they got outside or something. But anyways, a gun battle would ensue, killing pretty much all the cannibals, except maybe one or two that would try to escape and then get killed. But we do have some casualties, though. Even though this was sudden, we have casualties. Oscar and Big Tiny lose their lives. So, we have a big group here, so 2 is barely a bad number, but if it were important characters, it would obviously matter more. With that said, that pretty much wraps up Gareth's little party there. Then we cut to Madison's group and them staying behind. Soon enough, looking around, one of them finds a cabin, which they did not see before because they've been moving around with all of them, because it's pretty much a very big group split between the two. Like I said, look at the last episode to see just how big. But anyways, one of them finds a cabin, and they all proceed to check it out, just in case there's more than the group down there. And what they find inside is very shocking. Because you know how I said that the claimers weren't getting introduced for a specific reason, to not, repeat past videos? This is where they do get introduced, because they might not be teaming up with the cannibals here, because them themselves in the canon storyline said that they didn't believe in the Terminus place. They were all, whenever they were talking to Daryl before they saw Rick and Michonne. So they wouldn't team up with Martin or Gareth or anyone. The circumstances just allowed them to be in the same area near the time when Rick and Madison and that whole group came into to the place, so it just allowed them to come here. We lose Tim, Crowley, Ben, David, Jimmy, Karen, and the backpack dude. So kind of small characters, but at this time it's a substantial number because this was a surprise ambush. And from then forth, the rest of Madison's company is forced back and an arrow and gunfight ensues. We still get plenty of people, well, kind of, in Madison's group, so you could say it's like a 50-50 between the fight, but it is more of a win for the Claimers and Martin because this was a surprise ambush, unlike at Terminus where it just kind of happened when they were all together. Martin, seeing as the Claimers seem to be, working with him, even though they're kind of not, decides that maybe, what? Maybe I should go and check on Gareth and his company just so I could get out of here without getting killed. Pretty much a just Martin move. But unfortunately, that doesn't play out to the standards in which he would want, because he is then stopped by Merle, which Merle taunts him a little, thinking that he could get away, and then kills him. But then, he is punched straight down and put to the ground by Joe. Not killed, just punched and put to the ground. And then Joe is taunting Merle, sort of as backlash for just taunting him. That would be a Joe move. And then Daryl punches Joe and puts him on the ground without taunting him. It would probably just be a small Daryl retort. So everyone's getting punched to the ground today. But Daryl did punch Joe in the canon storyline, so you could say this is the same thing, except it's happening later in the story and with much different circumstances. So Daryl then kills Joe, and the rest of the Claimers, seeing the leader and Martin dead, are killed inevitably too. But we do lose one more person in the name of Herschel, and Ophelia is injured, kind of badly, but she is not killed. So Ophelia fans out there, she and Nick will still have a relationship, and Ophelia will still be alive for now. She's not, spoiler alert, she's not going to live for the whole story. Neither is Nick, but they are getting some pretty good moments in the story with them being around. Especially considering, like, Ophelia, she's lived longer than she would have in the Fear the Walking Dead timeline. Nick kind of too here pretty soon. But anyways, after all this, seeing as though they've lost a substantial amount of people, Abraham thinks that they should just head to Washington now and avoid further casualties. But just then, speaking of casualties, they hear Father Gabriel's pleas for help and go inevitably to save him. So we still get Father Gabriel joining the group and then going to his church, which all plays out the same way. Just another play out the same way kind of moment, except more people, kind of different reactions, different character development, and yeah. With all that said, ain't too much to talk about there for the moment, and also, like I've done before, no need to put in the hospital group because no circumstance here, or in really any of my stories, allows the hospital or dawn to even happen. So, yeah, they're X out of the equation. But don't think that I'm skipping out forever on the hospital arc. I'm not. It's just for the certain stories I can't put her or any of the hospital group in. It's just the story itself. Now, for the food bank group and who goes there, pretty straightforward. Rick, Strand, Madison, and Shane. Pretty much the four main leaders of the group, seeing as they've already lost so many people, better take their best people out there to make sure that this simple run doesn't turn into something, more catastrophic. And Bob and Sasha, I feel, would come along for extra support, at least. I'll give them that. And if you think that Bob's still going to get bitten here and, oh, another casualty, why would you do that? No. With Strand and Shane there, and Rick and Madison in general, more so Shane and Strand, Father Gabe is not going to be able to do anything stupid and get Bob bit, or anyone bit. So, nobody gets bit, nobody dies. Now, for the Washington group, the only change, really, is the build-up is pretty much the same. except we are Xing out in the character of Tara and filling her shoes with Milton, because he's still alive in this point in the story, which I've done before. But since I've done things differently before, here's the question you guys gotta ask yourselves. And because I'm stopping here, kind of adds a little bit more suspense. Do you think that Milton being around in the form of this story will prevent Abraham from punching Eugene and getting him all mad? Or do you think that Milton's just going to cause something that will mean something greater for himself and Eugene, and might even lead to one of them dying in the near future? Because, with all this said, this definitely puts an edge on both of their characters, including Abraham's. But that's where I'm going to stop for the moment. I feel comfortable stopping there, if anything else, because of what's built up in the story. Kind of want to keep these videos, at least, unless it's a finale, to 15 minutes at least. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this part and are enjoying What If Madison's family joined Rick as a whole. If you are, leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more. Don't forget to leave suggestions for future what-ifs, and I will see you guys in the next video.